Hi, I'm Wilford Brimley, and I have diabetes. It hurts me to pee, and it causes me to be short with my family. I can't sleep at night. The other day, I stubbed my toe and took it out on the dog. And 2 weeks ago, I ran out of vanilla ice cream and struck my wife. And then I find out my wife's been dead for 6 years. Who the hell did I hit? This message.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rushmore Sports Addicts, and this is going to be our brand new franchise series called Diabetes Dynasties. The breakdown of this is here. NCAA 14 is probably the last college football game we're going to experience for a while. Now, I say that lightly because it is announced that EA does plan on releasing a college football game in the future, but for the last 7 or 8 years, this has been the last game we've had. I've had a lot of fun playing it over the years, and I've kept my copy for a long time. So, being that we're getting into this, I thought nothing better than to do what I do all the time off camera, and that's rebuild dynasties. So, I'm going to go ahead and knock the rust off because it's been a second, and I'm going to go ahead and make a coach that we all know and love. There's a preset that is perfect for the man Wilford Brimley from the old American Diabetes Association commercial. So, let's take Willie and let's rebuild some dynasties and show that even with diabetes affecting you, you can still lead any college to a powerhouse status and national championships. So, without further ado, this is Diabetes Dynasties, baby. Let's go. Already here, folks. So we're going to start off and we're going to go ahead and create our coach. And I'm going to be doing a little bit of commentary after the fact. So if I'm looking down, if I seem a little bit disengaged towards the bottom of the screen here, that's because I have the computer. I am editing the video as we speak, or I should say it is post-edit, and I'm just going to be going through giving some after-the-fact commentary of our first episode of Diabetes Dynasties here. So for everybody who's tuning in, I appreciate it. Let's just get the ball rolling here. So you're going to see me in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen here. We're going to start off and we're going to create our coach. And going into the offline dynasty here, as I'm going to cut quick to the chase, we see the standard coach, and then bam, we got Willie Dubs, sweater vest, visor, glasses. I'm talking the works. We are making Willie the best. And, you know, a little bit of a throwback because I feel like coaches, they don't really rock the sweater vest anymore. And it's a little bit of a travesty. You know what I mean? So starting off here, I think we're going to go with a bit of a spread attack. I think this probably is going to bite me in the ass later, but stay tuned and see if that happens. But we're going to go with a little bit more of an offense, and I think that Oklahoma State air raid playbook is going to be phenomenal. If I'm going to try to pass on these defenses and evolve the game to where we're at in 2021, which we see a lot of colleges doing this pass-heavy offense. Back then, we kind of had schools like Oklahoma State doing it. Adding some colleges here, we're going to be going to the MAC conference, adding a couple of schools, Appalachian State, Coastal Carolina, a couple of schools that were not in the original NCAA game, but I did get the file updated from some gentlemen online, so I just do want to shout them out. Thank you. The username is kind of escaping me right now, but they will be featuring the rosters for this series. Do want to give one quick note while we are kind of adding some teams to some different conferences right now, making the Big 12 back to a big conference so we can have a national title game. These rosters do have most of the higher draft picks taken out, but you are going to see a couple of prospects from some schools that you might have recognized as like 3rd, 4th, 5th round picks that are actually going to still be on the roster here. So obviously, tweaking, bringing the spring roster updates, from the spring games, the, beginning camps here, obviously in the summertime and going into the fall, we're going to see a much more accurate roster, much more up to date. So the first year of this, it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be extremely interesting to see, how the kind of combination of some schools having good players without the progression of others. It's going to be touch and go, but let's get going because I'm going to choose Florida State as my first rebuild job in Diabetes Dynasties. School that's fallen off a little bit, but still in 14 here, has a little bit of a powerhouse chance in recruiting, in ranking. Knowing that we're not going to be the most talented, I did start off with a 20 upgrade bonus to Wilford Brimley. Like I said, I'm going to start easy, and then we're going to take it down from there, make the coach less good, start off maybe at a 15 next time, a 10, a 5, and then, 1 recruiting point, But I'm going to go ahead and throw most of my stock into recruiting here just because, we need better players. Frankly enough, Florida State's going to be in this transitional time where I'm kind of fine taking a year, maybe 2 years to where we're not such a great team. We might miss a bowl game here the first year, but we'll see what happens. We're just kind of going through here, giving our defensive coordinator, giving our offensive coordinator a little bit of boost. Nice part about being a 20 coach is that your coordinators are going to get 10 points to start off with on that coach skill tree. So you can kind of go ahead, balance it out. I just went with a 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2, in every single one of the first 5 categories there. just to level it off a little bit, kind of make it a little fair, and then we can kind of tweak it to what our team seems to prefer anyways. So going here, we got Jordan Travis, Chubba Purdy, Tate Rodmaker as our quarterbacks. Chubba is probably someone I'm going to go ahead and redshirt right off the bat just because as a freshman, second best quarterback, extremely speedy. We're going to need him in the future. But looking at this team, kind of one thing that comes out at me right now, they're young. They are super young. A lot of freshmen, handful of sophomores and juniors, but not a lot of seniors. I do want to say I believe Asante Samuel Jr. and then Hamza Nasitildrin, if I butchered that, I apologize, are going to be a couple of the players I did recognize that are going to be kind of crossovers, along with Marvin Wilson, who we just saw kind of pop up on the screen. Guys who were in this year's NFL draft, but are going to be featured in this dynasty. Like I said, it's going to be a little rough to start. The roster's online, they haven't really updated them 100%, and I can't really talk smack or blame them because, well, that's a really hard job to go through and kind of see players like Asante Samuel Jr. I thought he would have been taken out, but having Florida State here, I'm not exactly sad at that prospect. It's going to be nice having kind of a premier cornerback to start off here. It's going to be nice, being able to kind of count on my secondary a little bit and, have that veteran presence back there. And like I said, Hamza Nasitildrin at the strong safety position, 86 overall. That man is an absolute thumper when it comes to the strong safety position. So, yeah, a couple of good kickers, punter. I'm going to rock into the preseason here. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and redshirt some players. Good old loading screen here. But, yeah, let's go ahead and do Chubba Purdy, Tate Rodmaker. We can Tate we might keep in here, but one of those quarterbacks, let's go ahead and redshirt just because, well, why would you have two freshman quarterbacks if they're not going to play? We have Jordan Travis, who's a sophomore, arguably still could be our starter next year and the year after that if he doesn't declare. So I want to keep someone like Chubba Purdy around, especially with those raw speed attributes. I mean, the guy's in the 90s as far as speed, acceleration, and agility. We got a couple of freshman wide receivers. You always want to keep your skill position players kind of young. Tight end, I'm cool going a little thin here. Like I said, I do not have high expectations for this roster. I do hope to make a bowl game, which means 6 wins. Go ahead and try to rep the ACC, but it's a hard conference. And I don't think I'm going to be delicate with the schedule either, just because I want some games against some big teams. I want some television exposure, and I want players to come and visit our school. And even if we lose those games, it just kind of shows that even though Florida State is a rebuilding program, we can still get on TV. We can still be, shown in front of a national audience. And even if we're having a rough year or two, the pro potential is still there at Florida State. So that 3 or 2 kickers, yeah, we're going to have to cut one of those guys in the offseason, but they don't really give me that option here. So one thing with this game that I do have to love, because we're going to go down to the schedules here, and like I said, we're going to kind of add some games that are a little bit different. They have us with Pitt to start in the ACC, Nevada, FCS Southwest will definitely be taking them out of there. But the ACC, one of the really interesting things that they do is they have week 1 be a conference game. Now, I don't know. I grew up in a time where conference games really started about week 4 or week 5, and you really kind of got to see the non-conference matchups to start the year, and that was really cool. Obviously, being a Nebraska fan, as you kind of saw in the original credits, I'm a big fan of, kind of getting those non-cons going. But for the kickoff game, because I don't believe Pitt deserves the chance to go to a better stadium. And in this game, you can definitely shoot like AT&T Stadium, M&T Bank Stadium out there in Baltimore. You can have some really kick-ass stadiums. So what we're going to do is, even though Clemson is a powerhouse right now, let's go ahead and throw us in the Georgia Dome, baby. Like, why not? And then I'm trying to remember post here who I threw in, because I know I take Nevada out here. Cincinnati being ranked 20 was kind of a surprise. Going through here, I don't know. C+ strength of schedule is not good. It's not good. It's funny. We take Nevada out of there, boom, B- right off the bat. So it's like Florida State was kind of going with some cupcakes this year. I don't really blame them, though. I don't really blame them because, well, they were Florida State at the time. I think this is around kind of the Jameis Winston time was the original roster for NCAA 14. So we'll take a look. I do remember I was trying to find Miami until I realized that, hey, dumbass, Miami's in your conference. You're going to play them every year. Because that legendary Miami-Florida State rivalry, you can't match that as far as, the 80s, the 90s, the wide left, wide right, all the classic college football games. If you haven't really experienced that, go back and watch the U. It's a 2-part 30 for 30 series on the University of Miami. And that's a school I would like to kind of tackle, but I'd almost have to go off the 14 rosters because they were worse 7, 8 years ago than they are now. Miami's on a little bit of a come up, so yeah, we'll see. But we still got FCS Southwest on the schedule. Throw number 24 Iowa in there. Apologize if I'm everywhere. I'm just trying to catch up to the video right now. I hope to do a little bit more live streaming and kind of live commenting on this so I can really just kind of edit my comments out at a later date. But we'll see here. We got some interesting schools, but I don't know if I want to go with another ranked team. But all right, let's do it. Let's go to Memorial Stadium. Let's play Nebraska because, well, I'm a Huskers fan, so it's kind of a win-win situation for me. If we lose the game, well, I'm a Huskers fan, and I like to see my boys win. But I hope we at least, win that game and kind of reignite a little bit of classic college football powerhouses that haven't really been all that good. One of my favorite parts about this game, though, was the updated recruiting process. In the past, the recruiting was a little different. You could kind of, pick how much time you wanted to allot to a player, find out, what their interests were. It was too broken. I'm not going to lie. You caught on to it really fast, and it made recruiting a little too easy to the point that, you could rebuild anything without really too much of a sweat. This game completely flipped it on its head, and I'm kind of sad to see that we didn't get to see more of an updated version. Essentially, here you're going to get points, and every week you can use points to do different things. You can, in the preseason here, you can scout players. You can look through, see which ones, have the proper ranking. Here we got 7 players who wanted to go ahead and try to, be recruited by Florida State. They actually had some interest, I believe, at least top 5. They had to be in the top 5 for me to add them to the board here. But yeah, just going through scouting kind of 7 of the players in the top 100. They're interested in Florida State. So some of these guys, David Rogers, Harrison Barrett, Jonathan Bowling, Dustin Jackson, Bo Sullivan, and Cameron Hines. So these are all sparked top 100 prospects who have interest in Florida State in their top 5 schools right now. And as you see, I kind of went back and I went, by positions, and I grabbed some more 3- and 4-star prospects, and we're going to start scouting them out here just to kind of see what their overall's like because, well, there can be a player in the top 100, but, he could be an absolute, bust. He could be, I believe they call him bust in here. As you just saw, we just hit a gem, someone who was predicted to be a lot better than they were kind of originally ranked by the scouting system. So that's what we're looking for here in the preseason. Like, I'm diamond mining, baby. I'm going for gems. I'm going for those players. Obviously, Dave Smith right there, someone who, a little bit of a bust, someone we're not going to recruit because we kind of see ahead of time that he's not really worth the spunk and the appeal that's really brought into him. So, sorry, Dave, not to really shit on you, but to anybody named Dave Smith out there, well, I hope you don't play offensive tackle, and I hope you weren't a bust, buddy. So, continue going on here. We got some Morgan Cannon, Garrett Herron, Kenny Porter. I kind of gave that away by saying his name, but that's someone we do actually end up getting recruited. Hell of a player for Florida State. I'm excited to go into season 2 with him because that's someone throughout this first season we did end up getting to play. So first week against Pitt here, we're going to go and kind of break it down a little bit. But first, let's hit the recruiting trail. So we're going in here. We have 25 scholarships to offer. You can have 35 players on your hot board and recruiting board at any time. You can also go into the Spark 100, kind of see what players are still there, see if anybody develops a little bit of more interest in you. So here I'm just going to kind of go through and break down a little bit of the recruiting points, dish them out to different players. We're going to go ahead and give Ron Henderson because he's at the top of our board. Essentially, I have the recruiting assistant on to start here just because, like I said, it's been a second. It's been probably about a year or 2 since I really dove into the actual dynasty of this game. And I'd like to have a little bit of help from my assistant coaches. And I know defensive end is something that we're going to be extremely thin on going forward here. So Ron Anderson, we're going to throw 500 points to him. Rob Malloy, I like the Rob, so I won't throw 400 to him. Joey Booker, we definitely are going to need center help. And I think that's one thing I always favored in recruiting growing up is getting offensive linemen. More so tackles if you can kind of get them because NCAA is extremely broken as far as like converting tackles to guards and centers. Their overall is always going to go up. I don't know if like the variables for tackle is just a lot more. So it's like, I guess, harder to be a good tackle in this game than it is a guard. But it's pretty broken to the point that you can take any tackle, shift him inside to guard or center, and he immediately becomes a better player. So like, for example, if we were to get one of these tackles like Dustin Jackson as an 80 overall, cut him into guard or center, he'd probably jump to like an 82 or an 83. And right off the bat, you have someone who could potentially start in a more weak offensive line. So I'm going to throw some points towards him just because, obviously, like I said, I really like the aspect of grabbing tackles, grabbing positional players who kind of have those good physical attributes. On the line, they're not position players, but they can switch around a little bit. There's my boy Kenny Porter I was talking about. I'm going to throw a couple 100 points at him just because he loves us and we love him. Another gentleman, Pete Holloway here. It looks like he's got a good amount of attributes here. And one of the cool things about the athletes in this game is, once again, the flexibility there too. And the rankings are not like certain on these either. You can have guys who are good as receivers, but they can switch on over to corner and free safety and actually be 1 or 2 overall points, a little bit higher than what this game is predicting. So I'm getting a little technical into it right now, just, rambling to ramble, because I didn't realize how much time I actually had in recruiting. Future note, ladies and gentlemen, we are definitely going to cut it down on recruiting in the future here. So yeah, we're about 14, 15 minutes into our video here. Going through, just kind of taking a look at some of the other players, Craig Bowers, Harrison Barrett. Yeah, I think Craig is someone, 68 overall. Yeah, let's get him off the screen there. Let's not even waste the points. Let's not even waste the space. Like I said, athletes are such a touch and go aspect because, they can be everywhere, and it just kind of depends. You always want to look at, obviously, height and weight, too, when you're recruiting athletes in this game. Obviously, if you're going to get someone around 220 to 250 pounds, chances are that guy's going to be a tight end, linebacker, like a little bit more bulky position player. You can maybe throw him in at fullback. Fullback, obviously, probably not something that's going to be too important if we're going to be running an air raid or preferably even a spread system if we're running. So maybe a little bit more emphasis on the receivers, running backs. But yeah, obviously for athletes too, you got a guy around that 300-pound mark. You're going to look at defensive end, defensive tackle. But enough about recruiting. It looks like Pitt's absolutely a much better team than us on offense, defense, overall. But you know what? Kirk Herbstreit's still going to get us the vote of confidence. Let's see what's up. Going through. All right, here we go. Big money, big money, big money. And, shit. Got 3 points in the first week. That one hurts. Looks like Aaron Bryant committed to North Carolina. Yeah, go fuck yourself, buddy. Who commits after 1 week? I guess I wouldn't want to go to our school either for a C+ on offense and a B- on defense, but come on now. Why the disrespect, Aaron? Why do you got to go to UNC like that? Are you a basketball player? Do you like the basketball? Because if you're a tackle, I'm guessing you're not very aerodynamic, but whatever. That's going to open up some recruiting points for us. Obviously, we're going to have some extra points too. It does cost 50 points a week to do scholarships as well in this game. 50 points, I believe, to scout. You can get some of your pre-scouting done on some of your more top-end prospects, but you're going to have to spend kind of these little dinky points in and out. Obviously, offering scholarships to players you want to see in your program, so on and so forth. Starting at a 20 overall, though, the problem is, obviously, I have a lot of skill boosts, but the top recruiting bonus is going to be that insta-commit, and that's fantastic for when you have a Power 5 school who, if you rank like number 1 or number 2 for a player going into the season, it increases your chance of actually getting that player to commit to you right off the bat. So I'm guessing with Mac Brown being there in North Carolina, he's probably pretty juiced up as a coach. So still, fuck you, Brian. Yeah, we're going into week 3 here. Obviously, we kind of skimmed past week 2 with it being a bye week and everything. Not really much going on. Still, we see in the skill tree, everybody's kind of at a 20, 10, 10. I'm going to go ahead and preface this right now. I do not check awards. I didn't check preseason All-Americans. Like I said, this year was just kind of a startup. Get a little bit of gameplay, get a little bit of an introduction to the series, but I felt like it was kind of a little biased with some of the players being drafted already and then some of the players, not being improved, or the attributes going up, because you see a lot of guys in their late 70s, early 80s that'll definitely jump up when it comes to the off-season time. So jumping back in here to recruiting, because I don't think we had too many hits the week before. Yeah, we're only down 250 points, so probably throw a couple more points in there. David Rogers, God, we have a lead on him. Let's take some points away, because at the point where we're so far ahead of the competition, I don't want to get cocky with him, but like I said, that's kind of a guy that we're going to end up probably picking up since we already have such a big lead in week 3. Thank you, David. I appreciate you believing in the future of Wilford Brimley and not so much the current status. Just found a gem there in Chris Lynch. That's fantastic. My boy KP, Kenny Porter. Here we go. God, I love the fucking name. I love the name Kenny Porter. He just sounds like a middle linebacker. Now, I think Kenny was one of the first players that actually wanted to kind of come and visit the school. Interesting tip here, if you're going to be doing dynasty rebuilds, is they have bonuses for kind of compilations and, like-minded players. So if you have a middle linebacker, an outside linebacker, and a defensive end who are all going to visit the same week, they'll actually complement each other. That same problem, though, is if you invite 2 middle linebackers, 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs in the same week, they're actually going to take away about 50 to 100 points per visit. So balance that out. Really pay attention to what you're doing in recruiting, because that's how we're going to rebuild teams like Florida State here. Oh, God, Iowa was ranked at the beginning of the season. I don't think they were ranked here. We only lost by 6. 0-2 start. That is not good. It's not good, ladies and gentlemen. But here we go. Going into the week, we have 0-2 Florida State against Nebraska. Like I said, 2 programs who are kind of in the same position here. We're looking at Nebraska. Obviously, Scott Frost is the coach. Shout out him. I'm a huge fan of Scott Frost. I was biased and I almost did Nebraska and just started with Scott Frost, but I was like, no, my boy Willie Dubs is going to be my rebuilding coach. All respect to the late, great Wilford Brimley, and shout out to the American Diabetes Association for supporting Americans with diabetes every single day in their life. It's something that is extremely hard to deal with. Not too much we're going to touch on that, but yeah, if you know someone with diabetes, obviously different ranges to it, but it's a struggle in everyday life regardless. So shout out there. Like I said, this series is not to make fun of at all, but bring a little bit more of a casual light to kind of things, because like I said, Willie B was a running joke, but also at the same time brought a lot of awareness to the ADA. So fantastic on his part there. Obviously, we saw the little Family Guy clip at the beginning there where they made fun of Willie Dubs, and yeah, but Wilford was always kind of someone, I believe, who took that in stride. You didn't really see too much of him. I know later in life there was some controversy with some political opinions, but this is a sports channel, bro. We ain't getting into that shit here. Let's get back. Ooh, there's the fullback. Yeah, the legendary fullback that John Gruden still loves out there in Oakland. Just kidding, Vegas. Shout out my Raiders. It's still hard, though. After being a lifelong Oakland Raiders fan, it still kicks different, even though I lived in the town for a couple of years, saw the stadium, blah, blah, so on and so forth. So kind of do. God damn, David Rogers loves us. He absolutely loves us. That dude is just nope, fuck you, Auburn, Texas, Bama, LSU. I mean, some banger powerhouse schools, but shout out. Chris Lynch as well. Thank you. We got a 1,000-point lead. Brian Mason. So we do have a couple of players early on here that we're getting sizable recruiting leads to. And that's what I love. I love seeing that because it's we can kind of take points away from these guys. Brian Mason, a 73 overall center, underrated as a 3-star prospect. So we'll take some points away from there. Hopefully the U doesn't catch up. But Glenn Rhodes as well, another defensive tackle. You can never have too many guys on the inside. 297. I wonder. I don't think I actually went by his stats, but we should see if he maybe kicks into defensive end in the future. Rob Malloy, someone we kind of fell a little back on. Dustin Jackson. And guys, we are going to try to climb out of this hole because yikes. But also, as you see kind of below, there's a bonus that every single school gets. And that bonus is based off of the old attributes of conference prestige, contender status, closeness to home, all these different factors that the recruits have as far as, what's important to them, how much they like your school, what your school grades on this. So you kind of get a bonus on top of the points you invest every week, depending on how much they prefer your school for all the different things. So that's why, like I said, Power 5 schools, they're a little bit easier to start off with just because Florida State, even though our roster's kind of shit, we're not starting off very good at 0-2. They're still Florida State. I mean, they still had tons of pro prospects over the year. I mean, current, Florida State prospects we have in the league. Obviously, I think Jameis is maybe the first person a lot of people think of, but guys like Dalvin Cook, Asante Samuel Jr. is going to be an absolute banger in there. I believe, did Jalen Ramsey go there as well? I think Jalen Ramsey went there during the title years, and I mean, he's, in my opinion, the best lockdown corner in the league right now. So, a lot of pro players. And once again, I'm probably missing some absolutely huge names that went to Florida State that are just, kind of hitting me off the top of the head here. But let's break it down, ladies and gentlemen. We have even matchup, 84 overall. I did preset this to veteran experience level. So, yeah, we'll kind of take a look. This is the first time I had played this game. And shit, probably, like I said, about a year or two. I think I jumped back into gameplay a couple of months back when I got my PS3, dusted the dust off it and everything, but I haven't had too much experience with this game engine because they did switch it over. Starting off as a good passing team, Connor Culp, Cam Taylor, Britt. That guy's going to be an absolute banger for Nebraska this year. So, and then obviously our players, Asante Samuel, Marvin Wilson. Good players there, good players. And here we go. Opening up to Memorial Stadium. We got the 2009 Florida State throwbacks. The Huskers are going to be rocking the white at home, so decided to go with a little bit of that kind of darker blood red. Oh, God, this is embarrassing. 8th ranked passing offense, but 104th ranked in passing touchdowns, which means Jordan Travis is out there slanging it around, but he's not slinging it into the end zone. 124th ranked rush offense. That's embarrassing because I think there's like 124 schools, so we'll see what happens there. Obviously, with an Oklahoma State playbook, a lot of the shotgun, a lot of pistol, probably going to, fuck with some read option here as well. I did the preset for like 70% passing, and I should have probably taken that down for the simulation. And I do later on. I will let you know that because I think being so pass heavy to start off, especially with Jordan Travis, someone who's a dual threat quarterback, but isn't the best passer to start off in his sophomore year. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, time to get the ball rolling. Memorial Stadium 2021 kickoff. Let's go. And I will return every kick. I don't give a shit if I'm 1 yard deep or 8 yards deep. So let's go big. Oh, in there. Whew. Get it. Get it, son. Yeah, past the 30, 32, 33 yard line, but I think I saw a hanky. That is a great sign there. We're going to start off with a good old clipping penalty. Drop us back 15 yards there. Yikes. Whew. Not a good start. Fuck. 3rd and 7. Not good to start, but there we go. Yes. Carson out of the backfield. That triangle route is fucking money. 2nd and 12. Fast forward a little bit here. And here's kind of the joy with having Jordan Travis. Jesus fucking Christ, kid. Jordan Travis, great rollout quarterback. Obviously, throwing the run's not a huge mechanic in here, so not really going to affect the passes. A little bit broken, but Warren Thompson is going to be our big-bodied threat. He's a sophomore, a lot of potential to him, but the first time I throw a ball to him, he drops it. Like, seriously? Seriously? Pick it up here, 1st and goal, and tutty! There we go, Ontario Wilson. 4-yard touchdown reception. Not bad starting off. We got a studio update. Oh my God. Down goes the Titan. Number 1 Clemson getting stomped by North Carolina State. Crazy. So after the score, I'm going to edit this kind of around big plays, more interesting plays. That way you're not just watching a lot of boring gameplay footage here. But we'll see how A. Martin, this Huskers offense, plays here on 3rd and 7. Had a good couple of plays to stop him here. Looks like I don't know how to read a screen for shit because Dedrick Mills is going. Good dive there, Cole. Yeah, you were only about 15 yards short. Proud of you, buddy. And they're going to get into the red zone here, which is I need to get better at defense. I will admit that one after this first original gameplay because we just let Dedrick pop right up that 3-hole there. No bueno. All right, 7 and 7 back on offense here. The stick and nod concept is broken with tight ends, and McDonald actually is one of our better players at tight end. So this is something with Cameron McDonald I'm gonna exploit all game long. Just gonna let you guys know right now, the tight end up the middle when you have linebackers on him. I mean, it's a broken matchup, especially against the zone. So let's see here. Yeah, picking it up. Not doing too bad. 6 first downs to 3. Got 5-minute quarters here, so start of the 2nd quarter. Run a little play action veer. That one's always risky because you're pulling a guard on a passing play. And okay, that was horseshit right there. That was a touchdown. All right, Jordan Young definitely scored there. They're getting stomped on the 1st and goal opportunity. Jordan Travis running it in for the tutty. Yeah, I see why he doesn't have a lot of passing touchdowns now. Like, he's quick. I'd run him in every time. Oh my God. Okay. All right, Adrian. I love to see that, but not against, well, me. Don't like it. I don't like it at all. Hell of a run there by Adrian Martinez, and we're coming back. Dedrick Mills, God, that man is a fucking powerhouse. I can't remember if he's actually going to be on the Huskers this year, but I really liked him being a transfer out of Georgia Tech. Bombing it with Travis here, and Travis, 2 more yards. Oh, all right, a little bit of rollout, fancy action, and it wasn't Thompson this time, but firing these motherfuckers. 4th and inches, let's go for it. Cole, what are you doing? What are you doing? Hand the ball off there. All right, turnover on downs. Getting the ball back, 17 seconds left. Cam Taylor-Britt. It's a name you're going to see later on in this video, regrettably, but we'll see what happens there. All right, so 14 seconds left in the second half here. It's 14-14. I'd love to get in field goal range. Maybe try to get a field goal, but I'm not going to lie. If I get close enough and I can full, no huddle it, let's get up there. Take that timeout, 9 seconds left. Let's hit about the 35-yard line here, so not too much as far as, field goal opportunities, so I think we're going to need about 1 play here. So I think the concept's going to either have to be go for the sidelines, or if I'm in bounds, at least get the first down so the clock stops, and then hurry up, no huddle that bitch right off the bat. Oh, go, get it, McDonald, get it. Oh my God. Woo! How many times we got stopped 1 yard short in this game is fucking ridiculous. Seriously. I would apologize for the language, but I'm not. So, all right, no huddle here. We got 4 seconds left. Tick, tick, tick. And come on. Interception here as he just looked at my eyes the entire time, picks me off. But he should have returned that one for a touchdown. We kind of got lucky there. But picking up in the second half here, Nebraska receives the kick. Obviously, they drive down. Adrian Martinez and Dedrick Mills are just having their way with our defense right now. No one can tackle them. So Amar with the tutter there. I believe that's 2 for Dedrick and 1 for Adrian Martinez, but he's got to be over 100 yards at this point with that monster run he had on their second drive. So kick the field goal there. We are down by 7. Another studio update here, and it looks like number 3 Florida is on upset watch with Tennessee right now. Keep eyes on that as we play them later in the season. Going across the middle, and oh my fucking God. Cam Taylor-Britt with an amazing Superman interception. Shout out my boy LBP. He was actually playing here, and this is when he kind of threw the sticks back at me, and he's like, fuck it. Because that was the fourth quarter, a couple of running plays on the drive. I wanted to conserve my timeouts and some miraculous hope we can come back 10 points here. But, yeah, this is going to be an L. Let's go for a little Hail Mary action here, and nope. Turnover on downs. And, yeah, it's about going to do it, boys and girls. 24-14, Nebraska beats us. And Florida State is off to an 0-3 start. Now, we're going to have to check the record books. When did Florida State last start 0-3? Because, I passed for 300 yards. Our red zone presence just isn't there right now. I think that's the big problem that we're noticing in the game is we don't have much of a red zone presence. We're going to pick it back up against Boston College next week here. They're 3-1, so we'll kind of see what happens on that aspect there. I'm not excited. I am not excited going forward with this. Like I said, I expected it to be rough, but I thought, man, if I'm going to jump in here for gameplay and I'm going to try to only do 2 games a year of gameplay just because, well, ideally that's supposed to give me an advantage, but here it didn't. Like I said, shout out my boy LBP. He did great on the gameplay there. We were both kind of struggling, just kind of adapting to the game for the first time here. So, yeah, that is number 1 of the Diabetes Dynasty. We're off to an 0-3 start. How do we turn it around from here? Let me know if you guys have any suggestions on how we work this dynasty here. Because, yeah, I think at the time of this recording, I'm just starting my year 2. And like I said, year 1 is we're going to have some roller coasters, a little bit of growing pains, but we'll see what happens there. We're going to rock the Seminoles, and we're going to lead them to a national title. I'm going to say within 4 seasons here because I like this young core that we got brewing, but they just kind of need to make some mistakes and, learn from them. So, God, I sound like a fucking dad. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in to the first episode of the Diabetes Dynasty series. Once again, my name is Cole Blenner. On behalf of Fishing Elephant Media, Beers and Bullshit, the podcast, Rushmore Sports Addicts, the overall brand, the YouTube channel, the card openings, Shout out my boy Siglin Wheeler, Lane Brings Plenty, LBP, Chief. You'll hear me call him by multiple names on here. And then as well, Jay Symes, someone who's going to be our fantasy football wizard coming up. But yeah, like I said, thank you for tuning in to episode 1 of Diabetes Dynasties. Let's check out tomorrow and see what happens.